Hi, Aquarius. It's Denise with Divine Soul Astrology, and today I'm here to discuss the horoscopes for the month of May, the beautiful month of May here in the Western Hemisphere. I'm not sure the, seasons around the world, but it is a very nice month, the month of May. And the sun is in Taurus in your fourth house of home and family. This is also your house of emotional foundation. And what's important to you very emotionally? Yes. What kind of keeps you safe or happy and content? That is the fourth house. It can also be about where we live, like, our physical home. But this is a psychological house. It is. Yesterday, I have uploaded Uranus entering Gemini, and there's, for your horoscope as well. So you might want to see that. It's a big astrological event, Uranus entering Gemini for the next 7 years, and Uranus is bringing its change, and that is your modern ruler. So, yeah, and it is associated with change, sometimes social change, but it would depend what house it's in. But check that out, right? And so that's an exciting video. And also we have the full moon, which was yesterday, and the full moon's in Scorpio, and that's very transformative, right? It is, and that that can talk about things changing, rebirth, and death and new beginnings. Can also talk about really understanding the deep psychological themes in our life, which are very important. We always want to understand that, right? Sure, we do, right? And so the sun is in that fourth house. And so, yeah, the sun will be in your fourth house in Taurus until the sun enters Gemini, which will be on the 20th of the month, right? So the focus can be on home and family, it can, or your emotional needs, your emotional foundation, what's keeping you kind of feeling kind of, grounded emotionally. But it can also be about your finances, right? Taurus rules finance, it rules material comfort. And also well-being. And the fourth house is a place of emotional well-being as well. So that could really be the focus for you until the sun moves into Gemini, right? Mercury, or not Mercury rather, but Venus is in your house of self-expression. So Venus is in Gemini, and Venus is in this house of self-expression, love and sex and pleasure and fun, entertainment, but it's also the house of creative pursuits and your sense of self, how you shine, and also children, right? This is also the house of teaching children. Venus is the benefic, is supporting you from this place. Venus in that fifth house is really a beautiful house, right? Venus can be about our finances as well as we are in this. The sun is in Taurus, can be about our finances. Venus is about our love and relationships. Venus in your fifth house is a really beautiful thing. So this could be a really good month for you, right? Supporting your relationships, supporting your sense of self, and all these things. And also, interesting, we have Uranus in Gemini in your fifth house here. So you have to check out that video to kind of understand what Uranus is doing there, right? Because I have that video up as well, right? And so we have Venus making a very favorable trine to Pluto in your sign. So the trine is something supportive, right? The trine is always talking about Venus is in an air sign, it's an air trine, and you are another, another air sign where Pluto sits. So Venus is making that trine, supporting something about your sense of self from Gemini, your sense of self, your creative pursuits, maybe love, right? Of course, your finances, but it is making that trine to Pluto in your sign. Pluto's in your sign of the self. The fifth house is also associated with the sense of yourself. So something can really be changing about like personal, about you. That could be the case, right? Pluto's going to be there a very long time, right? Venus will move on, but that's a very supportive trine and something very transformative for you, right? There could be a sacrifice there that you are maybe sacrificing something about yourself. Pluto also represents sacrifice. It can represent loss and crises, but it is really, yeah, and also transformation, profound change. This can also be about your intimate relationships. Venus can represent love, right? Romantic love as well. But this is a flow that is going to be kind of changing something about the way you maybe communicate with others or the way you kind of conduct yourself. Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. All right, could change your attitudes towards lovers and even friends, could be, right, or like-minded people. Also, this can also be about, social group or social change kind of. But you might be veering off to for intellectual partners as well. That Venus trine to your first house with Pluto can be about maybe you are a little bit more, interested in intellectual types. That could be the case. Aquarius is a very intellectual sign. It sure is. I mean, the glyph itself is like an antenna. It's very inventive. And I know this about Aquarius. They're like that. They're super smart and they're very, depending on your natal chart as well. I mean, not all Aquarians are going to be, geniuses, but it does represent as the general theme or the archetype is very intelligent. Yeah, and social. And so Uranus uh, is your modern ruler, and that is also making a trine to Pluto, changing the way you express yourself. Also creative and very kind of psychic, could be psychic ideas, right? But spiritual breakthroughs could be. But this is major change as well. There's something very powerful there for you with that Uranus trine to Pluto in your sign. Yeah. And Uranus is in Gemini, and that is your fifth in Gemini. That is your fifth house, yeah, of social, your fifth house of self-expression and creative pursuits, your sense of self. So that's what I mean. Something's changing. Venus is making a sextile with your natal Saturn. That is the traditional ruler. Venus is sextiling that. And the sextile, Venus is in Jupiter. Venus is in, Venus is actually in, I beg your pardon, Aquarius. Venus is in Gemini until, yeah, it is in Gemini, and that will make a sextile. And that is Gemini is that, excuse me, Gemini is your fifth house of self-expression, as I was saying, but Venus is making that sextile to Saturn. So you could be very interested in a serious relationship. You could become very serious during this time of the sextile, right? It's not going to last that long, um, maybe a month or so. It depends, but you might be interested in, or people who are open to commitment. You could be feeling that, right? It's not really an Aquarian thing so much. It's not that Aquarius is down against serious relationships. It's not that at all. But Aquarius has this independence to it. It really does. So, um, yeah, but you could be more interested in partners who are open to long term, something long term, right? And also we have Saturn making a sextile to Uranus. Wow. And you're making changes and you're very inventive about those changes. These changes are likely to bring you recognition and achievement. Yeah, Aquarius. Very cool with that Pluto in your first house. Pluto's change, transformation, and Pluto is also associated with power. So that's very good there, right? In your first house of self, in your sign. And we have Saturn. Remember, Saturn is also your ruler. Saturn is ruling your 12th house of in Capricorn, ruling your 12th house of release and endings. So you're going through a lot of change. You sure are. Uranus itself, right, is very interesting, is in your house of self-expression. I talked about that, and your house of talents, your house of authenticity, sense of self, creative expressions. Um, Mercury and the sun are both essentially telling you that change is good for you. Yeah, for sure it is. Um, And so also, this can also have to do with love. And yeah, as I was saying, also your business aspects that can be showing up there, your business maybe opportunities. On the 16th, we have the new moon in Taurus, and I will do a separate video on that. The sun will enter your fifth house of the fifth house. We've been talking about that, your fifth house, right? Um, the sun will enter your fifth house when it enters Gemini. Yes, and so, of love and sex and creative, creative expressions and things like that. Yeah, and so when the sun moves into Gemini, that will happen. And we're going to have the Sagittarius full moon on the 31st here in your house of future aspirations. That's really great, right? The sun will be shining on your future aspirations, your social connections, and change really. That 11th house is related to kind of the future. It is future aspirations. So change. I'll have a separate video on that. And I feel like that's going to be something great for you. Okay, thank you so much for joining me here. And please like, share, and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video. And hit the little bell. You'll be notified of my next upload. Thanks so much, Aquarius, for joining me. And you're my 11th video here today. So yeah, it's thanks for hanging with me, all right? Thank you so much. If you want a reading with me, check out the description box where my website is. And I approach the chart from a place of empowerment and showing you really, really what you don't know, right? Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. And so the chart is so fascinating. It is showing you empowerment and showing you things that you weren't aware of that can, hinder you a little bit, right? That's why the chart is there to help us reach our true potential. It really is. If you have somebody reading it from that place, yeah, or somebody who understands that or approaches the chart that way. Thanks so much, Aquarius, for joining me. Have a great